Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and another episode of the NFL Betting Card, the last episode of the NFL Betting Card of the season. That's right. This is our Super Bowl edition. This is our, Super Bowl best bets. And I like to call it a little props extravaganza because we're going to do some fun things with props today. So I am so sad that this season is ending. I never do well at the end of the NFL season, but I need to just enjoy this Super Bowl, have fun with it, get back in the best ball streets, and look forward to next season. But let me go talk to the guys, and then we will jump right into the good stuff for this exciting Super Bowl spread. How are you doing? Are you getting pumped for this Super Bowl? What are we at, 58? I need to count. 58, right?
We're Super Bowl 58, Meg.
Yes.
And it's going to be an exciting game. I cannot wait. We can dive into all the different angles, Meg. But we have something to look forward to. Because from a little pre-show conversation, I think our first off-season show is going to be just as exciting, Meg. It's going to be hard hitting in the trenches because
our off-season show is going to be good. And yeah, Spread brought it up, but I mean, to give a little tease here, we will still have some off-season content with these guys. We'll cover free agency. We'll cover NFL draft previews. We'll get Steve in the streets to talk, especially NFL draft prospects. And of course, Steve and I will be starting best ball content, hopefully as soon as next week, which we actually are probably going to break down the rookies first, because that's important to learn as you jump into the best ball streets to know where these guys can be going even before they land in their places and learn about these rookies. So yeah, lots to talk about this offseason, especially these couple of months as best ball gets ramping up, as the offseason gets ramping up. And yeah, Spread knows I'm not gonna tell him, but we will have some fun offseason debates for sure. No doubt. Tyler, go to you next. How are you doing? Are you so excited for Super Bowl 58?
Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking a little while to get here, it seems like. I mean, my computer is so screwed up right now, so just go to Jamie.
No worries. You're all good. Jamie, thoughts on how are you doing, first of all? And we missed you last week. And thoughts on the Super Bowl that we've got ahead of us in a couple of days.
Yeah, doing well. This would be I know Spread thinks it's an exciting one, and it probably is, but this is probably the outcome I wanted the absolute least.
Yeah,
being from Kansas, and I lived in San Francisco for a few years, so all of my friends get to talk about how fun this is, and
that's the worst. Yeah,
and I disagree, but it is an exciting Super Bowl. There's a lot of different aspects to tackle, and I'm excited to get after it. And like you said, it's the last one, so no matter what, we got to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Be a degenerate a little bit, put a little extra props out there, have some fun, I think.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fun. I mean, obviously the props menu is like an overwhelming Cheesecake Factory menu. It's like, there's too much. It's too much. Yeah. I'm totally overwhelmed, but there are a lot of options to choose from. You could get a little wild and crazy, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have fun with it. But first, before we get into what we're going to be doing with props and everything, let's kind of see where we landed from last week. Obviously, Tyler, Spread, and I'm bringing Tyler back in, talk through some early thoughts for the game. And, where are we landing now just a couple days before the game? Where are you landing on the side and total Spread? I'll go to you first.
Yeah, not a lot has changed, including my level of conviction, but I'm still leaning towards the Chiefs in the under. If you had to ask me what my favorite was, I would say it's the under over the side. A lot of the game scripts that I'm going through in my head end up with an under, regardless of whoever the winner is. So I think this is going to be a fun game, and that's the way I'm looking right now. It's going to be hard to talk me off the under, but I'll be willing to listen. And on the Chiefs side, I'm a little more flexible there. I'm ready to hear some argument for the 49ers if you got them.
I got a little bit, but let me go around to you guys first. I'm like you, very much more convicted on the under, and you'll hear that when we get to our props too, and how I'm anti-correlating some things. But just we'll get to that later. Tyler, if I don't know how the computer's going, but if everything's good, thoughts. I know you like the Chiefs. Have you bet the Chiefs, or have you bet the under? Or are you still kind of landing there?
Yeah, the computer's about to go out the window, Meg, but
I love when Tyler loses it. I love it.
Nothing's changed about the Super Bowl. Still on the Chiefs. I'm not going to sway myself off of it and then watch them win and say, why did I do that? So I just stick with what I had from last week, sticking with the Chiefs and the under.
Okay, go with your convictions. I like it. Jamie, where are you landing on the side and total?
Yeah, so this is like the first Super Bowl, I think, in like 10 years where I actually do not have a bet in on either side. I don't have one on the total either, but I really have no idea what is going to happen. Like I wouldn't be shocked in any scenario. I lean the Chiefs, just better quarterback, better head coach, and to be honest with you, like I've lost so much money betting against Mahomes in the playoffs. So like I'm officially done doing it. Like I bet against them every single time this year. I was on the Eagles last year. I got them like plus 2.5 last year. So I got some good CLV on it, but that does not matter, right? At the end of the day. So I lean the Chiefs. I'm just gonna go with Mahomes, and I'm gonna go with Andy Reid. But I would not be shocked either way, because I mean I think this is kind of the better roster versus the team with the two most valuable positions in quarterback and head coach. So like I said, I will lean the Chiefs. I do lean the under too. So it sounds like we're all kind of on the same boat. So I'm curious to see what side are you on?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely on the under. I've been very, very heavily into that since the line opened at 47.5. I've been digging into a lot more research since last week's show, but despite the 49ers defense playing down the last few weeks in the playoffs, this is still the number 2 and number 3 scoring defense in the NFL. So I think when these types of matchups usually meet, most often I think you're going to see the under. Obviously the Chiefs offense, or the Chiefs in general, are winning with not convincingly on offense by any means. We saw last week they weren't pushed at all by the Ravens. So, I definitely love the under. I think both teams are also the reason I like the under. I think both teams are going to rely heavily on the running game, but way you attack both the Chiefs and the 49ers is through the ground. It's almost like 2 run funnel defenses, so to speak, if you want to kind of put it in those terms, and therefore that's going to chew clock as well, make it a slow game, limited possessions, and to me that all just spells under. Now, of course, anything can happen, right? Pick six happens, game script goes wonky, someone jumps out to a 14 or 17 point lead, and someone has to play with their hair on fire. That under could go out the window. But if it plays the way I think it should, which I think is close, slow, leaning on the running game, I think it's going to be a low scoring one, and I love the under. I'm very, very convicted about that. I've bet that, and you'll hear me be putting it in some same game parlays because, as most of you guys know, when you anti-correlate a same game parlay and take some overs on props or some anytime touchdowns, you throw the under in there and the odds just go, through the roof. So, so we'll get to that in a minute. But as far as, I'm not going to bet a side, but but one of my picks is an MVP pick, which is kind of like betting the side. So what I have for the 49ers, I've been digging so much into research, and what I've found is you could make a case with data for either side, which I mean is the case when a lot of times when 2 good teams play, right? Whether it's trends or the matchups or whatever. I mean, Jamie, I think you said it perfectly. You've got the best coach and best quarterback going against the better roster and the team that had the better body of work all year long. So that's what's tough. And I can see why a lot of people are landing on the Chiefs. I will say a couple of data points that stood out to me. Historically, the teams that have rushed for more yards, like more yards than the other team, have come out on top. I think that leans towards 49ers. I'm very impressed with Pacheco. I think Pacheco should be able to run all over the 49ers. However, you're going up against Pacheco versus Christian McCaffrey, and I think McCaffrey will be able to run on the Chiefs as well. And, the type of defense the 49ers play, a high percentage of, Mahomes has struggled with a bit this year. It's the type of defense, I don't know the exact, I'm not a scheme X's and O's girl, but the type of scheme that has given him some problems this year. So those were just some interesting things. The last point I'll make to the 49ers is, this was from Rich Rebar, Sharp Football. His article, I believe, is free on Sharp Football Analysis. Great content that he puts out. So I dove through his stuff, a lot of good stuff on 4 for 4 that I read that were all free articles that had a lot of these data nuggets. And, what he made a good point is this Chiefs defense has been elite, but the one high scoring offense that got to them this year was the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. Your Green Bay Packers, Jamie, so maybe you can speak to this, was the one team that was one of the higher scoring offenses that put up some serious points on them. I don't know the total. That was a 27.
27, yep.
Yeah, I knew they had at least 3 touchdowns. And I believe they were all 3 Jordan Love passing touchdowns, actually. Mm-hmm. But they were without Aaron Jones. Dylan ran for like 80 yards, like I think nearly 5 yards a carry. That speaks to the success that Christian McCaffrey could potentially have with A.J. Dillon. No offense to A.J. Dillon, but
I'm with you.
He's nobody's favorite running back. You know what I mean? I drafted way too much of him in best ball, and that was not great. But so obviously the connection that you can make there, and Rich Rebar pointed this out on something that I watched, but again, I read his full article, is obviously Shanahan is very much tied and has connections with Matt LaFleur. So if he wants to pick the brain of Matt LaFleur as to, maybe some schemes and game plan that was able to get him there against this elite Chiefs defense, that is something. So again, listen, if at the end, I think it should be a pick 'em. At the end, if Mahomes and the Chiefs win, not going to be surprised at all. So, but I do have an MVP pick, which you probably can already tell where that's going. That is going to be one of my props. So that's my only thing. Spread, if you said make any points, those are my points, but I ain't not gonna fight it because I'm not gonna bet it. But I am very much betting the under. Spread, any feedback or thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he needs to pick LaFleur's brain. He taught him a lot, right? So
yeah.
When he's watching, he's saying, "Okay, I remember that concept," or "Hey, that's an interesting variation on something that we've done a lot." But not only will he be able to use that game tape and use that film, it's going to be already set into his scheme. It's not going to be teaching his players something new. I think that also there's a lot more pressure on the 49ers. I feel that Shanahan's legacy's on the line here, and I wonder how much that trickles down to where I know Mahomes and Reed want to win, but they have to be coming in more confident and a little less pressure. They've been able to get this done on that stage before. So another reason why leaning towards the Chiefs there, because I think in a tight game, I want to have the team that's more loose and confident, and I'm worried that Shanahan's stress level might trickle down to the team there, and the execution might not be as good.
Sure. No, I get that. Again, I definitely am not fight anybody on wanting to take the Chiefs here. I get that. I just will make a couple, those were the points where I will make an MVP bet that obviously is picking a side, even though, I'm not laying out any big unit size on an actual side. So any other thoughts, guys, on the side total? Again, there's so much more to pick from, obviously, on the props and the
I just want to inject a little bit here, Meg.
Yeah, please.
I heard you talk about Chiefs regular season matchups.
Yes.
I think those mean nothing. I think you can ball up that entire regular season for the Chiefs, throw it in the trash. That is not the same team that walked in and started playing Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore, and going to the Super Bowl. They are a completely different team the moment the playoffs start. I just can't, like all this stuff that I've seen in the regular season isn't happening in the playoffs. So it's like, I just feel like even bookmakers looking at this, their power rating's going to tell them San Fran's the better team. They're going to tell them they had the better regular season. So I think that's why the game's lined where it's at. But in the end, it's football. It's the biggest game of the year. The best quarterback usually wins this game. The best quarterback's in the Chiefs uniform, and the only guy that's ever beat him when he's here, and the only guy that's ever beat Andy Reid when he's here, ain't on the other side of the field and Tom Brady. So I got to take the Chiefs.
I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I will say
you get all the Andy Reid after an extra week to prepare, all those extra building stats, Mahomes in a dome, like just all those extra stats.
Oh, there's tons of trends that support that too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I will say the only thing I'd say about the difference of the regular season and playoffs is, the offense, it looks better, but it still doesn't look, to me, it still doesn't look, the Chiefs of old. I mean, they are very heavily relying on the run game. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with realizing you have an awesome defense. You have a running back that you trust. Like, you only really do have 2 weapons in Kelsey, an aging Kelsey who just drank the fountain of youth the past few weeks for the playoffs and looks great, and Rice. And And that's okay because again, you have Mahomes and it's worked the past 3 weeks. But again, I heard someone saying, I can't remember who, or I would totally attribute this to them, is they played two very banged up defenses in the the Dolphins and Bills were decimated on defense. And then they played the Ravens, who had like the worst game plan ever, didn't ran the ball like 6 times when Lamar didn't run the ball. So those would just be some points that, like, if the 49ers were to come out on top and the Chiefs offense were to still look anemic, it was like, well, maybe it was a little mirage of the offense. But I get what you're saying. Like a guy like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they're different players in the playoffs. Kelce especially. I mean, it's been 5 touchdowns. If you look at his stats, I think someone from Establish the Run on Twitter posted his statistics from target rate to yards per route run, ADOT, touchdown, everything from regular season to playoffs. It's like night and day, because to your point, Tyler, that's what Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes do in the playoffs. So, and it could be just that again here in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I have a few kind of data points I'll mention just on the Chiefs side.
Yeah,
so with Mahomes, he's played in 17 total playoff games, which is a perfect sample size considering it's a full season, right? And in that, he has completed 68% of his passes, 4,800 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a .301 EPA per dropback, which would be good for, first or second almost every single season, right, that he plays. I think that'd be second behind Brock Purdy just this year. And I kind of think, not to talk basketball, but if Brady is MJ, I think Mahomes might be LeBron, right? Like He's been here he's played 6 seasons and he's been to 4 Super Bowls. So like his ability to get there is pretty insane. And one thing with this Kansas City offense is, they were second in the league with the most drops, and they've had 1 drop now in the last 2 games. So that's something that they have kind of weeded out. And one thing I've noticed was last week, Mecole Hardman played 1 snap. Mm-hmm. And that's coming from the 2 weeks prior to that. He played 40% of the snaps in the first 2 playoff games. So I think when you're kind of weeding out some of these guys, I know Sky Moore was just activated, so I'm not sure what his playing time is going to look. But, I think if you limit the playing time with guys like Kadarius Toney and Richie James and Mecole Hardman and Sky Moore, and you kind of just focus more on, Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce and kind of pound the rock with Isaiah Pacheco, I think this offense becomes a whole lot better. And since 2022, Kansas City is 24-0 when Mahomes completes 64% of his passes. And that's something that's going to – he's likely going to do that because this team isn't very explosive, right? Like most of the passes that they're throwing are 5 to 6 yard passes to Kelce and to Rashee Rice. Like they're not forcing the ball down the field.
Another reason why they're eating clock. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And I think when it comes to the quarterback, obviously Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, so it doesn't matter what quarterback he was going to face, he's going to be better than. But I've kind of been adamant. I told Spread this beforehand, before the 49ers and Packers game. I think Jordan Love is better than Brock Purdy. I think that if all things were created equal and these 2 guys played with the same coaching staff, the same players, I don't even think it would be honestly very close. And nothing against Brock Purdy. Like I'm not going to say he's a bad quarterback by any means. I think he is a good quarterback, but he does literally have the Avengers on his team, right? He is literally playing with the best left tackle in the game of football, right? The best running back, probably the best tight end, 2 of the top 20 wide receivers, and a really good offensive-minded head coach. And Purdy has 7 games with a bad throw rate of at least 20%, and that's including both playoff games and then 5 games on the road. So I'm not convinced that, Purdy is going to be able to make the plays when needed. But I also agree with you that I think that's going to be big for Christian McCaffrey because if you're the 49ers, you got Christian McCaffrey for one reason. And like, this is the reason, like you have 1 game. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't touch the ball 20 to 25 times, I'm going to just be absolutely mind blown. Like this is literally the reason you got him. So you should just utilize that, get the ball in his hands in every way possible. And I think you should limit the amount of times Purdy needs to throw the ball deep down the field. And of course, this team is explosive, right? Like the 49ers aren't like the Chiefs. So they are a much more explosive offense. So I still think he will have success. But I think if the Chiefs are able to get to him and put a little pressure on him, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see, and we'll talk about this in a few of the props and parlays that we do, but I would be very surprised if Purdy doesn't throw an interception, also considering the fact that he is such a young quarterback playing on the biggest stage, and going to have a lot of pressure as the favorite. So I still agree. I think the line is probably pretty accurate, which is why I'm not touching it. I think best case scenario for me is, 49ers maybe get up 14-0 or something like that. I can put a little live bet in on the Chiefs and bank on that Mahomes fourth quarter magic. And that's probably the avenue that I'll look for from a sides perspective. But this game is it's so hard to handicap. And like we've said, it's literally the best roster versus the best quarterback. And historically, the more experienced, better quarterback normally wins. Even when it was Stafford versus Burrow, I'm not going to say Stafford was better than Burrow, but he was definitely a more experienced quarterback. Yeah, and I think just generally that happens. And last year, same thing with Hurts and Mahomes. It's kind of just feels easy just to be like, okay, give me the team that one is an underdog, but also has the best quarterback on the planet and a head coach in Andy Reid, Andy Reid I think he now is tied for the third most Super Bowl appearances. And of course, 4 of those are with Mahomes, but behind Bill Belichick, Don Shula, I think it was, and he's tied with Tom Landry. That's pretty good company to be around. Yeah, so I'm with you. I think it's incredibly tough to do. For me, I'm going to wait for a live betting opportunity, and if it's not there, then I'll just roll with the props and some MVP bets to kind of get my side in.
Exactly, that's what I'm doing mostly. So, but we got one definite Chiefs. Sounds like one kind of Chiefs in spread, one maybe live bet Chiefs in Jamie, and one kind of 49ers for an MVP bet in me. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So with that, it's time to do the props extravaganza. And what we're doing a baseball theme here, which I'm not even a baseball girl, but it just makes sense because I want to kind of do different tiers of props. And so we're going to do our single, which is basically like a line or a simple alt line, a double, maybe plus 200 to plus 600. A triple, then you're looking more like 10-1, and then a home run, and this is talking, some kind of 50-1 or more, some kind of crazy bet that you'll be going nuts if it hits on Super Bowl Sunday. So we're going to go around the horn to keep through the baseball theme and go through all our props here. Again, it can be prop, anytime touchdown, exotic bet, same game parlay. You make whatever you want, MVP bet. You make whatever you want it to be and have fun with it. So spread, I'm going to go to you. It's time to hit some singles here. What's your favorite single prop, basic prop for this week?
Nick Bosa to record a sack at plus 106. I think he's going to be able to get home. A lot has been made about the loss of Joe Tooney this week, and it makes sense because not only is it the player you're losing, it's who replaces him, and that's a significant drop-off right there for the Chiefs. I think the 49ers will be able to take advantage of it. And one thing about this 49ers defense is if the pass rush doesn't get home, their actual secondary isn't that good. The reason that they do good statistically is because the pass rush gets home so often and the quarterbacks aren't able to get through their reads. For this game to be competitive, that pass rush is going to have to be get home. I do believe it will be a competitive game. Give me Nick Bosa to record a sack at plus 106.
Plus 106. I was just going to ask the odds here because I'm going to get these on the NFL betting card here this evening. And, of course, all Super Bowl bets, everything that we talk about in the show, everything else that Steve and I are putting together will be on the NFL betting card by Friday night or Saturday morning. But I will get these all up this evening. So, Tyler, I'll go to you next. What is your single prop for Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah, just give me Mahomes over 260.5 passing yards, minus 110. I mean, he's passed that number once in the playoffs, but you got to look at the game scripts. He got it against Miami in a windy, very cold game. He threw the ball 28 times against Buffalo, so really didn't have the chance there. And he came up about 10, 15 yards short against Baltimore, and now he's in a dome against a team whose pass defense is much worse. So I think he throws for 300 plus in this matchup. I think 260 is a little light on his number.
Okay, Mahomes it was 260.5 is the line that you got?
Yep.
Minus 110. Okay. Couple highs in the chat. Nuke the House is in the chat, who you can find Tyler and Spread on most other days of the week talking NBA and some footballs. Thanks for joining us. Tim in the chat says if Shanahan offense does get clicking the first couple of possessions, it's almost impossible to stop. Too many elite playmakers. That's what I'm hoping for when we get to my MVP bet. But Jamie, let me hear your single prop of Super Bowl Sunday.
All right, so I'm going to go with some kicker action. I like over 3.5 field goals at plus 120. And the thesis behind this is pretty simple. Like these coaches aren't Dan Campbell, right? Like these guys are generally more conservative, and they have no problem with rushing that kicker out there. You know, if it's going to be a 45-yard field goal, they're going to go out there and do it. If it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, I still even think that they're going to trot the kickers out there. It's just historically that's what Andy Reid has done, Kyle Shanahan has done. Now I think the biggest question mark is, are these guys going to be able to make it? I feel comfortable with Butker. Obviously, Moody gets you a little squeezy, right? A little queasy. Banking on him to hit a field goal as what we have seen recently, but I like the opportunity. I think we're going to see at least 5+ attempts from these guys, and like you said, I think if the game does go under, I think that it is kind of correlated to these guys settling for more field goals than getting inside the box. So I like the over 3.5 field goals at plus 120.
I like that. That's a fun one to root on too, because you have 3 and then you're rooting to see just like what the game script, if it allows for that, and I really think we could see a good bit of field goal attempts in this game and kicking indoors. I like that. Okay, my single prop of the week, I've talked about the running games since last show. On the CBS show I've done the last 2 weeks, I've talked about how in DFS I'm obsessed with both running backs. I love the running games in this game. I don't think they're going to pull Baltimore Ravens on us, and either team is going to get too far away from the running game, because that's how you attack both these defenses. So give me Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing yards. I believe he's hit this or close in all of the postseason games. And he's just been the guy they've leaned on. I think he could actually go way over this. So I love Pacheco's line, and I'm actually really surprised it wasn't set higher and hasn't gotten pushed up higher yet. So, because I've heard other people talk about the Pacheco rushing line. So I'm very surprised it's still there, and I love it. So that is my single for Sunday. All right, now double time. We're talking raising the stakes a little bit here. Anything you like that's in that like plus two, let's say 200 to 1,000 range, whatever you're comfortable with. Spread, what is your favorite double of the week here?
First drive result, offensive TD plus 351. Although I do like the under, I think this is going to be a great chance for you to add to your position, because whoever gets the ball, I think we can trust the script here, right? We have two teams that are known for impeccable planning and a hot start here. Preferably for me, I want Kansas City to receive the ball first, but I feel like I can place this bet and still feel comfortable regardless who gets first possession. Give me the first drive result, offensive TD, and that will be the moment in which I'd probably double down on my under and get a little bit of insurance there on the live bet, as I think that it'll raise about 3 or 4 points from where it closes.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so that was plus 350?
Yep.
All right. I like it. That's a fun one too. All right, Tyler, what's your double prop of the week, raising the stakes a little bit?
Give me Rashee Rice to lead this game in receptions at 2-1.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Everyone's going to bet Kelsey. I could see Rice having, they're going to have 9 catches to 10 catches. It can easily flip-flop either way on those guys. So I like Rashee Rice here.
Yeah, and it's those two guys. I mean, so absolutely. It was in receptions or receiving yards? Receptions?
Receptions.
In receptions. Okay. And that was 2-1?
Yeah, plus 200.
Okay, plus 200. Rice to lead in receptions. I like that. All right, very nice. Jamie, what's your double prop for Sunday?
All right, so you're going to see a theme with me. After I mention this guy, I will mention him quite a bit throughout the show. But I like Deebo Samuel, most receiving yards at plus 450. And this also, I think, is correlated to if I do think Kansas City is winning, that they will likely the 49ers will likely have to throw the ball a little bit more. And also, I think Ayuk will have the tougher matchup, likely going up against Snead. So I like Deebo quite a bit. I think he's going to be heavily involved in multiple areas in this game. I thought about doing the like receiving plus rushing, but I'm just going to stick with rushing just because McCaffrey scares me. Like I would not be shocked if McCaffrey just had a 60-yard reception, and then he runs for 100+ yards too, and then that's in shambles. So I like Debo most receiving yards at plus 450, and I think that was on ESPN Bet that I saw that.
Okay, I like it. All right, then that takes it to me, and I am going to stick with the running back theme. I was looking up the odds, but it's what I've teased and mentioned the whole time. I love Christian McCaffrey. I love Isaiah Pacheco in this game. If the 49ers don't lean on McCaffrey, they're morons. And I think they will be well schemed to attempt to do that. And I think they'll do it successfully enough. I think he is looking at, 130 to 50 plus scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. And if he does that and they win, I think he will supersede Brock Purdy as the MVP, unless, of course, Deebo Samuel is the one that goes nuclear. So give me Christian McCaffrey MVP, which I believe that's at 450, but I need to see an updated line. So I will make sure it's updated on the thing, but I thought last I checked it was around there. So that is my MVP bet, is my double of the for Sunday. All right, we're hitting a triple already. Let's go 10-1 or more. Spread. What do you got for me?
Travis Kelce, 11 receptions exactly.
Oh, exactly. An exacta.
It's hard to get to these 10-1s and really have a good justification, Meg. So I just figure I think that he's going to have a big game. Tyler talked about the difference here, and I'll steal from Jamie a little bit if I want to make a basketball comparison. Travis Kelce's Jimmy Butler at this point. I mean, let's just throw that regular season out, and let's just take what we've seen in the playoffs. It's the same elite player that we've known to grow and love. So I would not be surprised to see him have a big game. San Francisco plays zone like 2/3 of the time, and I think that he is the best at finding holes in zones, especially when the initial scheme breaks down. So I think he has a huge game, and it goes. I don't see that any way the Chiefs win without Kelce having a big game. So if these are all kind of fun right around here.
Oh yeah,
8,
we're having
9,
fun.
10,
yeah.
11. But exactly. I had to get above 10-1, Meg. I had to go plus 1100. Maybe I'll throw the 8 or the 9 as well here. But I think this is a fun little area, and I expect Kelce to have a big game against that 49ers zone defense.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're having fun here. Obviously, bet these responsibly, but yeah, I mean, that's what the Super Bowl is all about, is having some fun with these props. You're at a Super Bowl party, whatever way you're sweating it out, it's a fun way to sweat it out. So yeah, I mean, spread, if he gets a 10, you're just be sweating that one out. Just one more. I like it. Tyler, what do you got for me? 10-1 or more for a triple?
Yeah, I'll take a shot on a weird one. Most tackles plus assists in this game, their rookie safety, Jair Brown. I might be butchering that name, but I know I got the last name right. His last name is Brown. Might be butchering the first name. He's had 10 tackles last week, 5, 6, 6, 6. Jamie said it. The Chiefs do a lot of their damage across the middle in short passes. Those tackles probably result in the middle linebackers and the safeties coming up to tackle these guys. He probably covers Kelce. He probably tackles Rashee Rice across the middle a lot. If he gets to 10 at 17-1, I think that he can definitely have a chance. And you just look at the guys in front of him. You have L'Jarius Sneed. You have Lenore. You have Justin Reed, Dre Greenlaw, Nick Bolton, Fred Warner. A lot of those guys should be in front of him. But at 17-1 with the numbers he put up, I'll take a shot on that.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. Okay, so 17-1. All right. Love it. All right. Jamie, what do you got for me for 10-1 or more?
All right. Yeah, I like that one a lot that Tyler just said. That's
interesting.
I didn't think about that. But okay, so mine's going to be – I actually did a little SGP action for it. So instead of just one, but I did – sticking on brand, I like Debo, anytime TD.
Okay.
Debo over 2.5 rush attempts. Butker over 1.5 field goals. And Purdy to throw an interception, and that comes out to, depending on the book, but like around plus 1100, right around that range. And obviously I like Debo a lot, and I think his over 2.5, like that's got ballooned up. I did take that earlier in the week, but I think it's like minus 170 now, so it has gotten bet quite a bit. But I feel pretty confident about the Debo over 2.5 rush attempts. He's played in 10 playoff games in his career, and this is excluding the Green Bay game, that just because he was hurt for the beginning of it and then sat out the whole second half. But he has hit 3+ rush attempts in 8 of those 10 games. And the only 2 games where he didn't get the 3 rush attempts were his first 2 playoff games ever when he was a rookie. And so he's had 8 straight games in the playoffs with 3+ rush attempts. So I think that's sneaky, and I think that is, correlated to his potential anytime touchdown market. And so, like I said, Debo TD over 2.5 rush attempts, Butker over 1.5 field goals, and then Purdy to throw an interception.
Got it. And what were the odds on that one?
Like plus 1100. It depends on the book, but it's right around there.
Okay, I like it. This is fun. I got a little SGP to it. It's a touchdown SGP, uncorrelated, like we talked about earlier. Here's what I got a major theme going on with these running backs. So I've got Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns. They've both done this in each of all their pro seasons so far. Pacheco has gotten in the box each week. In fact, I think he's gotten in 7 weeks in a row. Christian McCaffrey got 2 touchdowns both the last 2 playoff games and has done that 7 times this season. So those 3 things to happen: 2 for McCaffrey, 1 for Pacheco, and the game under. You throw the game under on top of that, and that jolts those odds right up to 2,000. It's already on the sheet. I already had that one on the sheet because I loved it so much. It was one of the first SGPs I put in.
Nice.
I mean, any one that I add the under to, I'll kind of split my unit up and, split it, whatever, and then sprinkle without the under, because that way if the game just goes nuclear in the first half, I'm not like, well, everything's over.
Yeah, exactly.
all my same games are over. So that way I can still root on props and anytime touchdowns and have those. So I'll kind of split it up and do one without the under and one with, and split it up. So that's how I'm doing that one. And an uncorrelated touchdown bet with the under for plus 2,000 is my triple. So that takes us to home run time. We're shooting for the moon here. You win one of these, you might get on a plane to Vegas, just depending on what you bet. Just kidding. So let me go to you first, Fred. You're hitting a home run here. You're going for the gold. What are you doing?
You got to call your shot, Meg. Chiefs 24, 49ers 20 plus 10,000.
Oh my God. This is what I'm doing, and oh my God, I'm the opposite. This is gonna be so funny.
Okay, great. Well,
I
at
love
plus 10,000, you can afford to make both bets.
I'm making both bets. Yeah. Okay, so you have Chiefs 24, 49ers 20.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you know what's so funny, Spread? I gave this out on the CBS show last Thursday, and the guy, he's a diehard Chiefs fan, but he's super sharp. He gave out your score. And I gave out.
I think you mentioned that last week. Maybe it went in my head.
Maybe it went in your head. He gave out I gave out 24.
I was trying to find one with 3 field goals where the Chiefs came out on top and it still went under.
So
that was where it was.
So I said I like 49ers 24, Chiefs 20, and he said, "Well, I love that score, but flip it around." And he bet that, and you bet that. So I have you and Mike McClure from CBS are on that score, and I'm on the opposite, and I'm betting both, by the way, because boy, will I be pissed if if you guys are right and I'm wrong, because as you know, the odds on that are insane. But sorry to tease that. I'll look up the exact odds of mine. But Tyler, what is your home run bet for Sunday?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with a same game parlay too, Meg, and
Love
mine's
it.
gonna be just a Chiefs related one. We're gonna go Chiefs money line. We're going to take Mahomes over that 260.5 passing yards.
Okay.
We're going to take Travis Kelce to score the first team touchdown for the Chiefs.
Team touchdown. Okay.
And Rashee Rice to score an anytime touchdown, and that comes out at 96-1.
Ooh, my goodness. Wait, and then Rice anytime.
Yep.
Okay, so Chiefs money line, Mahomes 260 plus passing, right? Is that?
Yep.
Kelce first team touchdown and Rice anytime touchdown. And that's 96-1. Okay. And what was yours, Spread? Yours was 100-1?
Yeah, I believe his was 100, the one he walked away for a minute.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm like scribbling all these notes down. Yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay, I like it. I got it all written down. So we got a final score for spread. We got a Chiefs SGP for Tyler. Jamie, what do we got for you for your home run?
All right. So I'm going to stick on brand. Give me Debo 2 TDs. Give me Debo 50+ receiving yards. It's an alt line. And then Pacheco 100+ rush yards. This comes out to about 5,400. And if you wanted to make it like 100 to 1, you could do like Debo for 100+ receiving yards. But I got kind of conservative there.
I like that.
With Debo at 50, just in case if maybe
so
he gets
Debo
in more
2 touchdowns. Debo alt 50.
Yep, 50+, and then Pacheco 100+ rush yards.
So it's just those 3 legs.
Yep, just those 3 legs, and it's like 5,400.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like when you kind of just push like 2 or 3 things to happen, and you're like, I just need 2 or 3 things to happen. They're big, but I just need 2 or 3 things to happen. Yeah. So I already basically said it, but mine is the exact opposite score of spread. And I am 49ers 24. I'm writing it down. Chiefs 20. Chiefs 20. And that is 140 to 1. So there we go. I'm betting both, though, because, again, I now know 2 people on Chiefs 24, 49ers 20. So I'm betting that. And I'm betting 49ers 24. Chiefs 20, and I'm betting that, of course, with my little McCaffrey MVP on the side to sprinkle that in. So this is so much fun. I mean, props are for Super Bowl are just ridiculously fun.
Absolutely, and I think it's funny too because the total, the exact game score that I had written down. I thought spread was about to say it, but it was close. It's 24-23, and I had to get the 24-23. So my over
3.5.
Exactly. So I had to get the 4 field goals, and it still hits the under too, right? I think it's because it's at 47.5. So we got the under, we got the field goals, and then the Chiefs win by 1. So I really thought spread was about to say that too. I was like, okay, if that's the case, I'm doubling down.
One too, but I don't.
I mean, Tyler, do you want to give a score since we've all given a score now? What do you got? We got Chiefs win. So what score do you got with the Chiefs win? I might as well bet all 4 of them. I mean, I'm sprinkling a few bucks on these. It's not like I'm like Though I did, as Tyler's thinking, I think I told you, Spread and Tyler, this last week. I did hit the Bengals-Rams game, and it was 23-20. And at the end of the game, whatever, did Joe Burrow get picked off or something, sacked or something that stalled out? And I was like, wait a second. It's ending 23-20? Oh, my God.
And one thing you can find to do with this too, Meg, on Bet Online, so they have like the squares version. Yeah. So you could play the 3-0 version and you're a little more live, like for 33-10 or,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you could I saw like how all the books are doing like the squares version too. So
I thought that's kind of fun though, to just kind of choose your own, and it's a nice payoff, and you're still kind of live. Like, on the 23-20, like it could die early, but with the squares, you should at least be live into the second half.
Yeah, totally. I like that. All right, Tyler, you got one for us?
I'm going to go Chiefs 23, Niners 21.
Chiefs 23.
Brock Purdy gets the ball late.
So everyone's calling a fun game.
Yeah, we're all calling a fun game, and we're all sticking with the under, too. I like it. Yeah. So, all right. We're all here. I like that we talk through the game, and then kind of all of our individual props of single, double, triple, home run, levels kind of all match like what we think is going on in this game. I'm obsessed with the running back, so hopefully Pacheco and CMC do their business, and I'll be happy in the DFS and prop streets no matter what the game outcome is. Before we get out of here, why don't we do some? And Clyde, I don't believe there's any news on Trent Williams. I think he's good to go. Former Washington player.
He's getting trolled.
What's that?
Clyde's got to check those blue checks before he reads.
Oh, God! On Twitter, those like fake news accounts.
Clyde's getting his injury reports from Adam Scheffner with 2 R's.
All right. Well, Clyde has one for you. Kelsey scored 2, Chiefs win, and something else. That'll get you something nice. Anything when you're throwing in 2 touchdowns,
Yeah.
McCaffrey is pretty live for 2. So in the playoffs, I had a nice sweat last week that didn't quite get there, but I did in the same game, McCaffrey 2, Gibbs 2. And so Gibbs had the 1. And at the end of the game, my friend tailed me 2, and we're like, give it to Gibbs. And they ran it. I was like, they're not going to run. And then they ran it with Montgomery. And I was like, and then they ended up throwing it to Jameson Williams at the end there. But I was like, come on. So anyways, yeah, the 2 touchdowns. So you could do Kelsey 2, McCaffrey 2, or, those are fun to root on too. But I actually love the anytime touchdown best. But let's talk first touchdowns before we get out of here, because we did that kind of all season. Had some success with it. Spread and Tyler were definitely better than I was, but I had some luck with it throughout the season on Sundays and stuff too. Just having a little fun with that again, just to sprinkle on. Spread, I'll go to you first. Who do you got for your first touchdown of Super Bowl 58?
Well, as you can see, my computer's frozen up, but I wanted to go with Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're going to lean on the run a lot early, and I was going to pull up the exact odds because I know they moved through the week, but I froze up. But give me Isaiah Pacheco.
I'll get those odds for you in 1 minute. I'm pulling up the touchdown scores right now.
I think it was like minus 130 last I checked.
No,
well, this is for first
touchdown.
Oh, first. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
My guess is it's going to be between plus 4 to plus 600.
Nailed it, 550.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Tyler, what do you got for first touchdown?
Just give me Travis Kelce. They get close. They're going to game plan something for him to get in.
Yeah, you got 750 on that. All right, Jamie, what do you got?
All right. So real quick, I was going to say
you got to do the Devo thing. Come on.
Oh, 100%. It's Devo plus 800 is my first TD pick without a doubt. Something that I was going to say though, because I know both you guys like Pacheco, and I was looking his. I can't remember if this is on FanDuel or what, but his method for his first touchdown. If you do rushing touchdown, I think it was like plus 130 or plus 135, and that's compared to like minus 130 just for an anytime touchdown.
Right.
He's only scored 2 receiving touchdowns all year, so I feel pretty confident that if he scores, he's likely going to get a little extra, something kind of fun. But yeah, first touchdown, Debo plus 800. I mean, I got to stick on brand with Debo.
You got to stay on brand. It's 950 on, just to let you know, it's 950 on FanDuel, so you might want to.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's good.
I mean, the obvious one is Christian McCaffrey. So if we want to be boring, that's the plus 330, but that's incredibly boring. I know that. So I will do something with a little more life and juice. I'll go George Kittle. I think but Ayuk has a very difficult matchup. So we'll target another tight end at he's a plus 11 to 1 for George Kittle. So, something to sprinkle on, just like a final score. You can sprinkle a little action on the first touchdown. It makes it very fun to root on that first touchdown. And of course, you could also bet, I think, Tyler had it in his parlay. You can also bet first touchdown for the team and that kind of stuff. So, before we get out of, you can also do exactas like Clyde just mentioned. You can do like, McCaffrey scores first, Kelsey scores second, those kind of exactas to get crazy odds like that as well. So the world is your oyster on Super Bowl Sunday as far as props and fun stuff. Okay, well, hopefully Spread will be back with us soon.
I'm here. My camera's stuck right here.
Oh, okay, good. As long as we can hear your beautiful voice, that's all that matters, Spread. Okay, so let's round out the show with the same game parlay. And I'll put this on the sheet too. And you can be as conservative or crazy as you want, because it's just going to be a fun show parlay. So, Spread, why don't you take the first leg?
All right, thank you. I'll take the under.
All right.
I think we all like it, right? And
yes,
so I'll go ahead and that can be mine. And to be fair, you guys have been the prop specialists all season. I've said it before. I think this is the one game of the year where the sides and totals guys kind of move over, and that the fantasy and the prop experts take the way, because We can all agree that this line is pretty fair.
Efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a huge edge on the side or total like we do in week 17 or week 18.
Sure. Yeah.
But the people who have been doing the props all year, like Tyler, like Jamie, and yourself, really have an edge here. So that's where I'm really excited to make the money here. But where I feel the strongest about, in my specialty of sides and totals, is the total of the under.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all absolutely agree there. So that works. And yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to get in the props and touchdown streets this week. I've been having fun with it all year, and I'm going to be having a lot of fun with it Sunday. So Tyler, what is your leg for the show parlay here?
Give me Rashee Rice over his receiving yards.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so adding the under Rice. Let me get down to that. I'm on FanDuel, so the line 67.5 over 67.5. Okay, Jamie, what is your leg?
All right. So I was going to do one, but it's actually not on FanDuel. It's going to be a little different. It was going to be a Kelsey to not score a touchdown.
I've seen that where it's the yes, no on some books. So that's on Circa, and where all is that?
Circa, DraftKings, and ESPN Bet.
Okay.
Yep, those three. But I will not do that because anyways, we like Kelsey, so I don't want to go against it. I'm going to go stick with on brand. Give me Devo over 2.5 rush attempts. I'm not sure what that is on FanDuel. Like I said, I know it got kind of ballooned up through the week. It was like minus 125 earlier in the week on ESPN Bet, and it's gotten pushed up all the way. But I still like, even at a minus 170, I honestly still like it as part of the leg.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to decide. I was going to do a touchdown leg. I was either going to do Pacheco or McCaffrey too, but McCaffrey too seems a little bit wild here. You know what? I might throw in another one that I haven't mentioned yet, but I really, really, really like. I like Brock Purdy. Actually, I like both quarterbacks over rushing. Both have done so a good bit here in the playoffs. Mahomes has very much been known to in the postseason, and I think Brock Purdy is going to have to. I think Chiefs play a good bit of man. So he should do what Lamar didn't do and run his ass when they turn around and are playing man. And if his guys aren't open, he should run. So I'm guessing that'll be his instructions. So the rush attempts, we'll add that. And then let me find mine to get a little total here. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's moved up from earlier in the week. I know I've definitely heard that to seem to be a trendy pick, but it's one that I do like. It's only moved up, I think, a yard. So on FanDuel, it's over 12.5 rushing for Brock Purdy. So I think that's very reasonable, and he soared over that, I believe, the last 2 weeks. So that gets us 572 for under on the game. Rashee Rice over, Deebo Samuel over 2.5 rush attempts, and Brock Purdy 12.5 plus rushing yards. So that is our show parlay. And that concludes all the fun Super Bowl props. Now I need to get final thoughts for these guys before we get out of here and sign off for the season. But again, much more content coming. I promise you. Check out fanspeak.com. Again, check out the betting card on fanspeak.com, which will be finalized with these probably tonight, with everything else, probably tomorrow or Saturday morning at the latest. So check out the free Fanspeak NFL betting card with all this goodness for Super Bowl Sunday. Check out soon best ball content coming your way starting probably next week, including shows and articles. And we'll be right back with these guys as soon as we can. Maybe take a breath for a week or so. And then
we're not taking a breath. After hearing those takes, we are going to be back next week. We will break down the Super Bowl, and then the people are going to hear this. You might be persona non grata at Commander's Bars, Meg, with the take that you gave me before the show.
I got yelled at next week. I've been getting screamed at by Washington fans on Twitter yesterday and today, so I don't care. But yes,
yeah, I can tell.
I don't care. I really don't care. I think I'm right.
This is some like Ric Flair level heel work here. You get the whole crowd mad at you.
Well, I think I'm right. So I also have been watching the quarterback series. I just started watching that last week, the first week without football. Instead of stopping and smelling the roses, I just watched the quarterback series. I haven't finished it yet. But have you guys all watched that?
No.
I've watched a little bit of it. That's one of like Kirk Cousins, Mahomes, and Mariota, I think.
Yeah, Mariota.
Yeah.
Tyler, did you watch that one?
No.
Okay. I highly recommend it. It's very good. And you might be more sold on my take on a particular quarterback, which we'll talk about next week. But anyways, we'll be back
Meg,
at
he
you.
would have to be squatting more than Jalen Hurts for me to agree with that take.
I don't give a shit what they're squatting. I just want
I
want
do.
someone
I
who
love that
wins
stuff.
and gets the ball to Terry. I want someone who gets the ball to Terry McLaurin. Oh my God. Terry McLaurin would lose his mind if he had a real quarterback. And not these.
What was your guys' pre-show?
Okay, I'll tease it. If the Vikings can't afford to sign both Jefferson and Cousins and let Cousins walk in free agency, I want him to come full circle.
Isn't that terrible? It's
Yeah.
the
If
worst
you guys
thing.
have no offensive line, that would be a terrible idea for an old man.
Then what do we do? We have the you
guys
put that
go with the other plan, Meg.
second pick of you take
You
the
guys-
second pick in the
You guys
draft
keep trying
and
to
you have
pry
that.
Caleb Williams from the Bears, and when they don't give up, you go, all right, well, we'll take Justin Fields from you, and we'll draft Marvin Harrison, and you just run with that. That's much better than signing an old Kirk Cousins who can't move.
No, I think Justin Fields is going to be. I think Justin Fields is going to be a Raider. Actually, now that with
Nope.
you don't think
He's
so?
gonna-
I
gonna
think
be
the Getsy hire pretty much assured that he won't be, because every way they've been selling Getsy was that like no coordinator could have made this guy good. He can't get past one read.
Exactly. This is why I don't think he's. I don't trust it. I think he needs, and maybe Cliff Kingsbury could get it out of him, but I don't trust the Justin Fields situation. I watched the quarterback series. You'll see how cerebral that Kirk Cousins is.
There's
and how
nothing
much
they can show me on that
prep.
series.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Well, I did catch a couple clips of it. So, like him driving his minivan around, like that's gonna bring like Washington a winning culture and everything. Like he's not gonna make the fat guys in front of him all of a sudden be able to block, and he has no
Yes,
mobility.
you would. Okay, what can we do with the second pick overall? You hold it for ransom, and you get a king's ransom for that pick. If someone is going to trade up and give their whole franchise, that you can change the franchise with a trade like that. In fact, when we did it with the Rams for RG3, that's how they still now have Aaron Donald. Over a decade later, they got Aaron Donald from still picks that they had in the Washington trade from that horrible Griffin trade. So I don't believe in trading up for a quarterback, and I don't believe that many quarterbacks work out. I know CJ Stroud did in this one. He might be the only one. We don't know. Maybe some of the other ones will, but it's going to take time, and nobody's patient. Everybody wants this to recalibrate. They use the term recalibrate. They want it to recalibrate fast. I'll tell you how to do that. You get a shit ton of picks in this draft, and you use that money in free agency on a good proven quarterback like Kirk Cousins
coming off an Achilles tear.
He doesn't need to move around. He's not a running
He
quarterback.
gotta move.
You don't need that Achilles. He's
He doesn't
fine.
need that
He don't gotta
Achilles.
move. They're gonna sign the 5 best offensive linemen. He's gonna have 6 seconds to throw every
He's
play.
got we got tons of money in free agency. We can sign an offensive lineman and draft like 3 or 4, So
I like
I'm
your
saying,
thinking, Meg, but I think you guys are better off going the young route and stretching it out. You
never
guys aren't winning next year.
well, it depends how you rebuild this thing. No, we won't.
I think
with a
if you
rookie.
handed me a controller and gave me the Commanders in Madden and turned the salary cap off, I couldn't put them into the Super Bowl next year.
I mean, what I really want, and then you could do the Jordan Love experiment with Sam Howell. Actually, it doesn't time out well. With 3 years, he'd be done with his contract, that rookie contract. But maybe you could get him to sign something, because if people still believe in Sam Howell, he needs like a Jordan Love treatment. He needs to sit for a couple years. Then he might be something. But nobody believes me. But I know what I believe. I know.
I love the conviction. I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah. Watch the quarterback series. That's my last thought. Those are my final thoughts before the Super Bowl. Spread, what are your final thoughts before Super Bowl Sunday?
Okay, I want to take this question in the chat because I want to get your guys' thoughts about it. Tim says, any DFS
Oh,
darts?
yes. I missed that because I was so passionate about you got me all worked up.
And we're going back to that. I mean, we could do an hour on that. I almost feel like, never mind. On the DFS darts, we're not going back to that right now.
We're
We'll
going to talk about that next week. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay. So I did a show with Simon this morning.
Oh, yeah. Check that out.
And normally we hand build our showdown, right?
Yeah.
But today we used an optimizer. And it just kept pumping juice check in there. And
Really?
we even went through and lowered it because I was like, that's way too much juice check. And even when we lowered his projection, like twice, it was still pumping him in there. What do you guys think of Kyle Juszczyk? I was really surprised that it was just like the optimizer was telling us, like, you're not getting him out of these lineups. Like, it was.
Which optimizer were you using, if you don't mind me asking?
Lineup HQ.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, the first question is, what's his price?
Oh, it's like $800.
$800.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Because
but I'm just saying, there's guys like Kadarius Toney, Richie James, all in that range, and he was just head and shoulders above all of them.
Price sees the most snaps out of those guys too. Like,
it's probably that. Yeah, it's just the data that's seen. I mean, Juszczyk last week got what 30 yards or something like that, 2 catches for 30 yards. But he can also goose egg. But a lot of all those guys in that range, I would rather at 1,200 take like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he still might run the 2-minute drill, and hope you get some catches out of him. I think that's like a safer floor than Juszczyk. But also Juszczyk seems like a trendy pick for like a long shot touchdown. He scored in this matchup 4 years ago. There's that stuff. So to answer your Juszczyk question, I know a lot of people like him for all those reasons. But I'm not on it because those guys that have the scary floor of 0 make me really, really nervous. I'd much rather.
The thing is, you can get all the guys you want up top.
I know, but for 400 more, you could get CEH.
And you like CEH more. Okay, that's funny because I actually like Juice a little more. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jamie? I was shocked that we was getting so much Juszczyk. Do you think that he'll be viable when you're building lineups?
I mean, yeah. If I'm building one, I'm definitely not putting him in. But if you're doing a bunch, I think that's okay. But I prefer CEH and then even up a little bit more.
Too? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I just think he's just more likely to get playing time. And of course, either way with these guys, you're trying to luck box into something. You know what I mean? And there's certainly a chance, but there's I think a greater likelihood that he doesn't touch the ball at all. Like, you know what I mean? Than CEH. I think like as far as like cheaper guys, 1,800 Noah Gray is actually my favorite. Yeah. I think he's very live. I think he had like 5 targets last week in itself. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he got in on the box or in the box, and especially since I do kind of think I'm not as high on Kelsey as probably other people are. So I think Noah Gray is live for a potential touchdown. But yeah, he had 5 targets against Baltimore, 3 against Buffalo. Even Miami had 1 catch for 20 yards. I mean, if any of these turn into a touchdown, you're looking at 9 to 10 points from a guy who's 1,800. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to see Juice really having that type of upside. But again, I don't hate it at all. I mean, of course, it's
one
Shanahan.
Game sample, anything can happen,
exactly. We've seen it before with him, and maybe something happened. I mean, CMC, he got hurt a little bit against Green
but then they
Bay.
Brought in Elijah Mitchell. I mean,
exactly. So that is the thing. Are they going to bring in him, or maybe he's going to be like, okay, I'm going to trust Juice to get that 1 yard touchdown? Or I mean, he caught a pass too. Was it against Green Bay? He caught a pass. I can't remember what it was. But he had a nice little catch on the sideline.
Yeah, he had the toe touch last week. Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible. It's 100% possible. All these guys are you're hoping you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping something happens, and that's honestly how someone's going to win it anyways. One of these guys down there that you think has a good chance to get a 0 is going to probably score a touchdown or score 6-7 points or whatever it is, or break a long run, and they're going to be in the winner, right? That's just it's going to happen. So I don't hate it.
To answer, I agree with you, Jamie. To answer both Spread's question and Tim's question, like, I would agree with Jamie that I would rank CEH and Gray above Juszczyk. And I wouldn't play more than one of these guys if at all possible. Like, when you get to playing 2 or 3 of these,
you really don't need to.
No, but I've seen a lot of optimizers spit out McCaffrey captain and 5 Chiefs, and 2 of the Chiefs are pretty dusty. So like, I'm trying to avoid that. I think that's going to be very duplicated, that build. And I like McCaffrey captains, but then I think you go away from that particular type of build. So that's one thing to be careful. If you're doing McCaffrey and all Chiefs, you're not the only one doing that, because Chiefs are the one that you can get cheap.
If you're building a Chiefs victory game script, you had to make a choice between Pacheco and Rice. It just seemed like it was really hard to get both of them in there. And in my mind, if you're building a Chiefs victory game script, like Mahomes and Kelsey are just automatics. Like, it just seems hard to get away from that. I guess you could go Mahomes Mahomes, Kelsey Rice. I mean Mahomes, Pacheco Rice. But that just seems fairly implausible to me. So I was using on Chiefs builds Mahomes and Kelsey as locks, and then moving it from there. Obviously,
I like that too.
Jamie's going to like the kickers. I felt that the Chiefs defense was a lot more attractive than the 49ers defense, off the idea that I can see Purdy having multiple turnovers, much more likely than Mahomes does. So I kind of like the Chiefs defense more, but I'm using that as a contrarian, and I wouldn't play it if you're not putting in more than 10 lineups.
Yeah, I agree. And also Chiefs are $1,000 cheaper as well. And I agree with you. I think Purdy's just, if there's a quarterback, right, that you envision just having a complete meltdown, I feel like it's definitely going to be Purdy. But my hot take is going to be, like you said, a kicker is going to be in the winner. Get a kicker. One of these kickers is going to kick 3 or 4 field goals this game.
Yep.
You know, and they're going to put up 15 plus points. So I like the kicker action for sure.
Can I go a hot take off that hot take that kind of relates? So the defenses, kickers, yes, we kind of all answer yes. We're all open to that. I like the kickers more than defenses too. Definitely like Bucker more. But one thing I said on the CBS show this morning in building, and this is just something in the way I built lineups, and I was messing with different hand builds, and then I was using a simulator and then kind of hand building from there. The lineups I feel the most comfortable with make a very scary fade. If you fade both quarterbacks, you can get McCaffrey captain or Pacheco captain, and you can get 4 studs, a kicker, and only 1 dusty player. And that makes me feel really comfortable because it tells a story. If I'm getting 2 running backs, the 2 stud running backs.
I mean, you're playing the 13-10 final score build when you do
not
that. Not
necessarily 13-10. It could be in the 20s, but it would
I'm
have
just saying there's no way that build goes if the game goes over.
No, but I don't think it's
a
going.
low under build.
Right, but I don't think it has to be like that low. Like I don't think it has to be a total score in the 20s. Like I think if Mahomes and Purdy only each get 1 passing touchdown, let's say, but all these volume guys, especially on DraftKings, get there, and McCaffrey gets 2 touchdowns and Pacheco gets 1, like I said, or say they both get 2 touchdowns. Both running backs get 2 touchdowns. That takes it all away from the quarterbacks. And then say you're getting kickers, then eating up the rest of those points, then that's how you get there. And then that can allow you to do something like McCaffrey, Pacheco, Kelsey, Debo, like all of my favorite, you know, and then like a Bucker and then a cheapie. So that's
great. Yeah.
The other thing about that is if you look at the simulator I was using was kind of then showing cumulative ownership and then potential duplicates. And again, like when you're doing those duplicates with those lineups with McCaffrey, Mahomes, Kelsey, and then some cheapies, the dupes are very high. If you take out the quarterback, you're immediately making yourself more unique that way. Now, it's a scary fate, and I think I'm going to run about 20 lineups. I'm not doing this in all my lineups, but I think I'm going to do it in half because I think it's really, really unique. And we've seen plenty of showdown lineups get there this year. The league's been lower scoring. Quarterback scoring has been lower scoring. And so there have been plenty of lineups this year that have not had a quarterback in it. And if I think this goes under and it's because of the running backs, that's a way for that to happen. Again, not doing it all, just something to throw out.
That's a good breakdown.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Also, one of my kind of hot takes kind of that I like is to fade Purdy and then play CMC and Debo both
together. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a pathway where Debo's CMC's like plus 200 or something like that. Score 2 touchdowns. So CMC scores 2 rushing touchdowns, and then Debo gets to the 5-yard line, or maybe he breaks a 40-yard run.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you have 3 total touchdowns, and Purdy has 0. Or even if Purdy does throw 1 to Debo, and Debo still gets that touchdown, there's a way he's not even optimal either. But I like that. I think that's very interesting to fade the QBs. I mean, it's a 1-game sample. Anything can happen, and your best chance of taking something down is to be different. If you just play both quarterbacks and you play CMC and you play Kelsey and then you play one of the cheap people, that's going to be duped probably quite a bit. And hey, if you come in first place and you dupe, no one's going to be mad. But ideally, you would like to be able to ship this by yourself. So I think I like that idea. I'm going to actually write that down.
I love it. I love that you're writing notes down. I love it, Jamie. That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I actually the Super Bowl between the Bucks Chiefs, I duped and won and chopped with hundreds of my friends. But
Yeah.
I thought it was such a unique lineup too, because it was Gronk captain, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And then, of course, Brady had 3 touchdowns, 1 to Antonio Brown. So it was Gronk, Brady, Antonio Brown, Lenny, because I think he scored a touchdown, rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
And then it was the 2 Chiefs without Mahomes. So it was Hill and Kelsey. So I thought it was so unique. Like, oh, I'm playing Hill and Kelsey without Mahomes, soaking up all. But that kind of speaks to your, like, Debo McCaffrey. Like, you know, like you can soak up
and that
all
actually
49ers.
makes me feel better about fading the quarterbacks, because when we were building today, I kept getting scared.
Oh, it's scary, believe me.
Because like we would have ones that would shoot out like Rice, Kelsey, and Noah Gray or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 Niners, and I'm thinking, how do Rice, Kelsey, and Gray all get there without Mahomes being optimal? But I guess you're using a great example that it happens more often than I expect.
Especially on DraftKings when they can get there on volume, you know, and then
With
a
the
guy
full
like
PPR.
Yeah, and then like so especially as you know, Tyler and Jamie both kind of spoke to this about their receptions. You know, like if Rice and Kelsey get basically all the receptions for the Chiefs, then they're getting just the volume.
Yeah. And we've also talked about their best strategy is probably to concentrate those targets.
Oh God, yeah, those other receivers 100%. Are awful.
Yeah.
Though I'm in the best ball finals on DraftKings. That was like the round 2 best ball finals, and I need it. And I think, I mean, I'm going to be so common with. I have McCaffrey, Kelsey, Mahomes, and then 3. I have CH, and then the 2. What's his name? Justin Watson and Hardman. Well, Hardman's probably barely going to play. And then Watson, it's like, so don't have high hopes for it. But I mean, with stuff like the best ball playoff finals, the interesting nuances are probably only a third of the teams are live. So,
100%.
But it's very top heavy. So, you know, it's still very much a long shot to win like a top prize, but hopefully I have some kind of sweat with it. But
so you're live. That's better than most people, you know, like you get to sweat some action. And, you know, if it gets down to the 1 yard line again and you see Hardman, like it was the Buffalo game, and you see Hardman doing a little jet sweep, you're gonna be like, okay, all right. Yeah. Now we're really live. Yeah. You never know.
Exactly. Well, I think we talked some good DFS stuff. Tyler, any other final thoughts for you for Super Bowl 58?
No, that's pretty much it for me, Meg.
All right. I like it. I like your convictions. I like your props. I'm going to get all these on the sheet. Jamie, final thoughts for you for Super Bowl 58?
Just enjoy it. You know, it's going to be fun. So it's the last one for a little bit. And I know Meg will be hopping into the underdog best ball streets. I looked into that.
I've already done 5.
Okay, have you? Okay, I looked into it. Normally, I don't. Last year, like I said, the best team I made was actually the first team I did, which was like late April or May or something like that. Okay. So I might try to, you know, and I think you mentioned it previously too with this. Like this is going to get filled up right before.
Yeah, so you're drafting with all other people that don't know where guys are landing. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the big thing. You know, you don't want to be drafting blind, and then, you know, a few months later, everyone's going to be drafting because they know where these guys went and whatnot. So it's fun to do. And it was like there's a $3 one and there's a $10 one, the big board, right?
Yeah, the big board. Yeah, the big board is the $10 and 200,000 top prize. You know, so it's still like their big flagship pre-tournament essentially.
Yeah, and it's fun, and drafting is the best part of it, anyways. You know, I love to draft, so I'm gonna be watching the shows and try to see what Meg and them are doing, and try to pick your guys' brain there. But yeah, just have fun with the Super Bowl. And last question for anybody here: what do we got here? We got Reba under, or we got Reba over 89.5?
I heard she trends under, but that was just in listening to so much stuff this week.
That's what I've heard too. I think people say, because she has like a massive sample size of this, right? Where she's done the national anthem so many times. But some people said that I think later on in her career that she started to go a little bit longer. But overall, I think the under is. So I'm just wondering if anyone here, I mean, I would love to, you know, put some money in my pocket beforehand.
I can't bet any of those exotics in Maryland. I don't see any of those in Maryland.
They're not on like, I don't see any on like FanDuel or DraftKings. I haven't seen any or on ESPN Bet or anything like that. But I know some of like the
I think that's state by state and then the offshore stuff. Yeah. So have you hit any of those offshore spread?
I know it's up there. That's a complete information-based bet. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
Because when's rehearsal? Once rehearsal happens, that'll get leaked, and then if you're not within it in the first minute,
Line will get moved.
Usually, usually the steam is correct.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I just expected Spread here to be doing some research, watching some tape, man, watching some Reba.
Like I said, the anthem is all based on that the rehearsal leak.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure the rehearsal leaks have been correct like 7 out of the last 10 times. I can't remember the last time someone rehearsal leaked and then went opposite.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't remember if it was. I know last year's was such a good rendition by Chris Stapleton. It was amazing, but I can't remember if it was over or under or anything like that. So
I would imagine over because his was so much slower. I felt like
it was very slow.
Honestly, one of my favorites. Like next to like
one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was definitely one of my favorites. So, anyways, well, this has been so much fun. Super Bowl props are a blast. We had a blast. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, stay tuned for off-season shows, for best ball content. Check out the betting card before Super Bowl Sunday, and good luck this Super Bowl Sunday. So for Spread, for Tyler, you can't see their beautiful faces right now, but for Spread, Tyler, Jamie, I'm Meg, and we will see you next time.
Drake, may the force be with you.